Oh, hi everybody, I'm here with Dr Julie Sladden this morning in my parliamentary office, and I've got to let you know that Julie and I work together on COVID issues and other health issues, but broadly health issues. And we're going to talk this morning about some of the aspects, but your particular background, you mentioned to me off air that you've had cancer in your past, and the experience of that, 10 years getting well, and what you decided to do with your body, and how you got healthy again. So let's go through it, hey?
Yeah, so at the tender age of 39, with no family history or any risk factors, I discovered that I had breast cancer. And it was quite a surprising finding. I remember I had my hand resting on my chest and I felt a lump. And it was a painless lump, which is always a bit of a worry. And I thought to myself, well, that's an inconvenience, because I knew that I had to go and do all the tests and everything. But I thought it'll probably be nothing. Well, about 6 to 8 weeks later, it took to get all the tests, and it was a time of the year when people were away on holiday, so it took a particularly long time to get the answers. It was more than inconvenience. It was discovered that I had breast cancer, and I had it extensively through that breast. So really that was where the adventure started.
So the cancer had spread?
Well, it had spread to my lymph nodes, but not to the rest of my body. So I made the obvious choice to had a mastectomy at that time, and had the lymph nodes taken out as well. And then we sort of looked at further treatment options after that. Fortunately, I was able to avoid chemotherapy and radiation, so I was very grateful about that. And I made the further decision to have the other breast removed as well, and then had reconstruction. So that was essentially that whole year sort of taken up. But after that, my health really did deteriorate. I have some problems with my immune system. I had an autoimmune disease already, and then I developed more problems. And by the end of that year, I was sort of trying to get back to work, but I was too ill, just in pain all the time, and on medications, and more medications to help deal with side effects from the other medications, which were helping to control my pain and my other symptoms, and really it was not a happy place. Yeah. So really over a period of about 3 or 4 years, I did a lot of research and realised that the path I was going down it was really just leading to more and more medications, more and more inability to do things that I love to do, and I was I had reduced capacity at work. So I did a complete lifestyle change and a complete lifestyle overhaul, and did a lot of research and saw a few other health professionals and got my life back on track. But it really did take a long time. It took sort of 7 or 8 years all up to get back to what I would say, vibrant health. I've always been energetic. I've always loved sport. I've been reasonably healthy, and I can say that I am now too. So that history, that having to fight to get my health back so that I could look after my family, I could look after my patients, and I could, be someone who was helping the community positively. I fought really hard to get that back. And so when the mandates came out, and the government was essentially, saying to continue working as a healthcare professional, I needed to have this.
2020.
Yeah, 2021. When they were saying all healthcare professionals needed to have this vaccination, I really.
No, it wasn't just one, was it?
Yeah, it was at least 2 for the course. I just started researching again. I started looking into what was known, what wasn't known, what do we know about mRNA, the mRNA platforms, what did we know about the viral vector platforms, and I did the Oxford University's COVID risk calculator and discovered that my risk from the virus was of survival, and my chances of survival were 99.9, 98% or something. It was really high, and I thought, oh, pretty good with that, So I realised my risks from the virus were minimal. By this stage, there was some preliminary data coming out from around the world, because that was 6 months in front of us, showing that the vaccines weren't stopping transmission. And there were also some worrying safety signals coming out from, believe it or not, the US military. Some of the doctors in the military were speaking out about things that were happening. So I thought, well, this probably is not a good decision for me right now. I'm happy to, take a step back and do telehealth if that's going to keep my patients safe. But if I'm going to be forced to take something with no long-term safety data, when I've had to fight so hard to get my health back so that I can be of benefit to the community and to my patients, I don't really, I'm not able to give informed consent to this. And so that really did influence my decision to say no and to step away from the profession.
Ongoing, people that recover from a serious illness, do they get the opportunity for other forms of well-being from their doctors?
It really does depend on the doctor. I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about, the medical profession is that, you can have, doctors who are, very much lifestyle and diet and, orientated, and they really do take a holistic approach, and you can, they'll use pharmaceuticals, and they'll use, different psychological therapies and things like that. And then there are other doctors who, are very quick and very good at what they do, and, it's a much more different approach. So, and you can find the doctor who, suits your needs and your style best. Most doctors don't have time to go into the depth of, especially some of the chronic complex problems that a lot of people are suffering with. And so people will often have to get a team of practitioners around them. Sometimes their GP will facilitate that. Sometimes they have to build the team themselves, and they'll have a physiotherapist, or they might have a naturopath that they go and see, or they might have an exercise physiologist, alongside their GP. So sometimes people build their own team, and for me, one of the benefits that I had was that I was able to turn my sort of medical training into researching what was going to best suit me, and then put my own team together.
The ongoing, I want to stick with this ongoing health of the community. It's one thing to get better, it's another thing to get very well, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a big difference between just being, not sick,
yeah,
and being well. And one of the things that I've spoken with you about before, as doctors, we have that responsibility to the community to do the best for our communities and to do the best for our patients. If we're going to be able to do that, we actually need to be at the top of our game. Not just, mentally, but physically. We need to have the stamina to do that. We need to have the emotional resilience to do that. And so we don't want a sick medical profession.
No.
Now, I know so many doctors who themselves are struggling with health problems, chronic health problems. And partly that's lifestyle, partly that, that might be environmental, or it might be, other sort of family history things, and that they have to deal with their own health while they're trying to look after others.
Has there been any inquiry whatsoever around the health and well-being of doctors and specialists throughout the COVID period?
It's a really good question.
Because, you've mentioned to me before that there were some 200 health workers. Now, Tasmania's not that big. I don't know how many health workers that are working in Tasmania. There'll be a lot of people, but 200 is still a lot of people to take out the workforce that refused to get the jab.
Yeah, well, there were actually 500 who stood up. A lot of them, some stepped away.
Did government not understand that 500 people in the healthcare industry, I shouldn't have called it an industry, in the health and well-being of, working on the health and well-being of their community in Tasmania, 500 people walked away?
They didn't all walk away. Some of them actually went and said, well, I've got to have this because I have to support my family. I have to keep working. And so they went and had the vaccine. Some people walked away. Some people took early retirement. I know people who still haven't been able to get back into their profession. I know people who are still, fighting their termination, through the unfair dismissal process, because they're unable to give informed consent.
And are they getting a hearing?
They've had hearings, but the decisions are very, very slow in coming. Yeah, so look, and I think the health of the health professionals is a big part of this as well, because, you know, doctors' health in particular has been a problem, especially mental health. You know, the poor health and suicide rates in doctors has been a problem for long before COVID
We don't hear
came.
about that.
No, and this was long before, this predates COVID. But now I also know of a lot of injured healthcare professionals, and they're suffering in silence now too. So where's the help for them?
I don't know. I see that AHPRA have come out with some new guidelines, rules. Have they just reconfirmed what they're already doing? Just give us what's the I've used the acronym. What's the organisation?
So it's the Australian Health Professionals Regulation Agency, I think. Yeah. So AHPRA is responsible for the regulation of doctors.
And they originally they were always responsible for the regulation of doctors, were they?
No, only since 2010, 2011. Previous to that, each individual state
had a medical board.
Yeah, had a medical board and a medical council that you would register with.
Why wouldn't that be still the case? Why do we have an organisation? This is born out of all the state health ministers, isn't it?
Yes, so there was a productivity commission report.
But AHPRA are not responsible. They're not responsible to the federal minister. They're not responsible to state ministers.
No, it's a really interesting framework actually. It's difficult to find out who AHPRA are accountable to. Essentially, they come under the umbrella of the ministry, the health ministry, but they don't really seem to be accountable to anyone in particular, certainly not the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Is the medical board subject to the Anti-Corruption Commission?
Not to my
knowledge. I'm
knowledge.
not suggesting they're corrupt, but I'm just saying that they don't have any oversight.
No, not as far as I'm...
Both organisations are all powerful.
Yeah, there is a health practitioner regulation ombudsman that health practitioners can apply to have any decisions
Reviewed.
Yeah, reviewed. But they really have very rudimentary powers in the form of making suggestions about, you know, ways that the decision could be made.
They can't order.
They don't have any real power, no, unfortunately.
Julie, thanks for being with us today. I wish you all the best in all your endeavours, especially your writing for the Spectator magazine.
Thanks, Russell.
Thanks.